Damen und Herren of the Audi board, as you know, we are to withdraw our groundbreaking TDI-powered racing cars from World Endurance Racing at the end of this year. But do not worry, the vast experience and knowledge we have gained will be applied directly to our debut in another motorsport series, as I can proudly confirm that Audi is well advanced with its entry into the exciting world of Formula D.
Herr Doctor, it's Formula E.
Oh dear, perhaps this explains why my A3 D-Tron has stopped working.
Hello, welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. I'm Gareth, he's Zong.
Hello.
And he's Richard.
Hello.
And I was just asking myself a question here. What are we excited about in terms of cars, road cars at the moment? I'm going to try something out, Zong, with Richard here, right? Richard, are you excited by the new Land Rover Defender?
Well, no, because I don't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that having read Autocar's cover story about it, which contained so little information, it actually sucked existing facts about the new Defender out of my head. I was shocked by how... I mean, usually you get the feeling that Autocar have talked to people within the company and they've got a few little cheeky nuggets about a forthcoming Jag or Land Rover. They seem fairly well connected there. The new Defender, they seem to know jack diddly bugger all, and
but
so does everyone else.
They had to write the story.
They had to
so
write the story because I guess it sells magazines.
Words.
People are interested. That copy of Autocar was lying around in the Grand Tour office where I'm working at the moment, and my colleague Richard Hammond walked in and he went, "Oh, new Defender!" And then he looked closer and went, "Oh, is this just a rendering?" I went, "Yeah." And he went, "What's the story about?" And I went, "There's nothing. Don't worry, there's nothing." Because he's excited about it. So you can see that anyone who's into Defenders is going to look at that magazine and go, "Ooh,
they want to know.
I'll pick that up." And then, as it turns out, there is no information. You can take a reasonable punt that car's not going to turn up until that factory in Slovakia is finished, because they've got to build it somewhere else. Solihull is popping at the seams, particularly because, did you see just recently they announced that the Jag F-Pace is in such demand they're having to move the XE, which is also built at Solihull, to Castle Bromwich where the XJ and XF are built, which apparently was always in the plan. Someone at Jag told me ages ago this was what they were going to do. If the F-Pace was as successful as they hoped, then the XE would have to get out of its way and go to join its brethren. The XF is the same platform, so they can be built.
It's been suggested that the Slovakia plant will start by building the F-Pace.
Yeah.
Because they're going to build a car that they already know how to build before attempting to build a car that they haven't built before, the new Defender. Also...
Good approach, yeah.
Yeah, you know, will this affect Kia's car manufacturing abilities in Slovakia? How many people are there in Slovakia who are good at making cars? You've got to get them from somewhere, and that's where Kia build half their cars.
I would say, in fairness, that probably when other car makers fetched up there first, no one in Slovakia knew how to make cars.
Yep.
It's part of the skill, isn't it, of being able to not only train people to make cars, but actually your production engineers should be making it so it only goes together one way. I mean, that's what they said was good about the Japanese, is that there was very little variance in how a car could go together, which meant that the quality was always bob on.
And particularly with the degree of automation that you have in a modern plant.
Actually, funnily enough, there's a book which I can recommend, and you're going to owe me some money for this, Rich. There's a bloke, I don't know what his real name is because he writes under a sort of pseudonym, I think. I've never bothered to check. He's got this book out called Confessions from Quality Control. And this guy in the 90s and early 2000s, I think, worked for a company that sold quality control inspection equipment to car manufacturers. And this book is a collection of anecdotes of him going to all these different car makers around the world and the sort of bizarre experiences that he had there. It's well worth a read. He sent me an advance copy because he asked for a quote for the cover because he was desperate and Quentin Wilson had said no. The anecdotes are all very short. I mean, almost too short because they're all really enjoyable and you could happily take more, but it is well worth a read. It's on Amazon, it's an ebook and stuff, or a hard copy. I'm plugging someone else's book.
Oh,
I haven't
well
even
done
mentioned
you.
that my book's out in paperback.
You
But
got
anyway,
your book out?
Yes. The reason I bring this up is because this chap told me this story about Skoda in the Czech Republic, and they had these machines that measured how well torqued up bolts are, and it's a little parameter of quality control. And a lot of companies were using equipment to measure this, and in fact using automated machines that would apply the right amount of torque. back in the old days, Skoda were just doing it all by hand. So, of course, the belief was that their tolerances and everything must be miles off because it's all being done basically with sort of a bit of
guesswork.
And apparently, then when you applied the modern Volkswagen Group spec measuring equipment to it, they were bob on every time. They were better than the people doing Golfs.
Fascinating.
So, you can't beat some old-fashioned, handed-down skill.
Yeah.
But if there isn't that in Slovakia, I'm sure, you can train people up.
Well, I'm reminded we did a how a long time ago on how, which was how come when you drop your toast it always lands face down? We did a calculation.
I'm going to go with confirmation bias.
Yeah, well, there is a bit of that.
Yeah.
But bear with me on this. It was worked out. Bread is always about the same size, right? A loaf is always roughly the same size. A piece of toast is always roughly the same size, thickness, and weight. And if you drop it from a kitchen worktop, work surface, it will fall the same height because they're always the same. And in that height, it will have enough time to turn 1.5 times because the aerodynamics of the thing. And so it will more often land face down than face up. And I think the reason why your lads in the Czech Republic, in the Skoda plant, were putting those bolts in at the right tension was a standard human with a standard range is going to be able to put a standard amount of power in. So you're going to get consistent torque delivery from standard men.
No, I'm sorry to disagree. I have to.
Really?
I bet there's a good Skoda reason why their bolts were consistently torqued to the right torque. Because I think the variation that you're going to get with a bunch of average blokes applying torque to a nut is going to be way bigger than
if it was
that
one
variation.
bloke doing them all, I think you'd be right. But with lots of blokes, because they're different, different strengths, different builds. One of them's had
You're going to get a classic. You're going to get a classic bell curve around.
That's a variation curve.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to ring up Skoda now, because it is Skoda, isn't it? Not Skoda. And ask them, how broad was the range of variation in torque on those nuts? And then we can answer that question. So, I was asking the question, what excites you? We've established that the new Land Rover doesn't really excite.
I have no opinion on it because I haven't.
It's all theoretical.
It's all theoretical at the moment. I'm sure it'll be tremendous, but
that photograph, that rendering on Autocar of the quote new Defender, quote unquote, is that right? Get it the right way around, something like that.
Close enough.
Yeah, I couldn't work out from that picture how this car was any different to the DC 100 concept. It looked like the same thing for me. And that made me question.
The real thing doesn't. I do know somebody who's seen it, who's seen what the new Defender's going to look like.
Does it look like a Hilux pickup?
Apparently it looks like a Defender.
Oh, really?
In the same way, I think the way this person was describing it, it looks like the Defender in the same way that perhaps, the current Fiat 500 looks like the old Fiat 500.
Okay.
In as much as you look at it and you go,
look.
all right, I get what's going on here. It is a modernised, maybe slightly stylised, cartoonish almost version of something that's gone before, but you would look at it and you instantly go, that's a Defender.
All the styling cues are there.
Which is reassuring, I suppose. So, yes, maybe there's a frisson of excitement just in the background.
Did it have massive panel gaps or something?
Yeah, massive panel gaps. The body doesn't sit straight on the chassis like my car, and also is anything like my car. The brakes squeak as well, which I keep meaning to take it to the dealer and get
That's
a look
character,
at.
come on.
I know, I mentioned this to somebody the other day who knows Defenders, and he just went, they all do that. But I always think squeaking brakes is one of the most sort of casually annoying faults that a car can have.
Yeah.
It's just really irritating, and it's also quite selfish because it annoys other people. And it looks like you can't be bothered to fix it, so you're just going to annoy them because of your own fecklessness and idleness.
Yeah, it's completely rubbish, you're right. It's very, very wrong.
No. It's really annoying.
It's a rubbish problem. The vehicle is not, but the problem is a completely rubbish, annoying problem.
So it's fine. I'm going to get a little look at that.
So what excites you, Zog, about cars? We've established we're not excited about the Land Rover Defender yet because we don't know anything about it. What excites you in terms of cars coming soon?
At the moment, it's not specific models, but I'm kind of interested in where a lot of the powertrain technology is going and where we're going to go with hybrids, where we're going to go with biofuels. There was this interesting thing you might have seen recently that Audi are talking about producing e-gas and e-diesel in order to fuel internal combustion engine cars that will then have the same carbon footprint as electric vehicles.
Is this using waste and bacteria to turn it into a synthofuel of some kind? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they're making a kind of biofuel. I can't remember the details now, but basically they're synthesising fuels that from beginning to end, if you like, of the energy cycle, from the first energy input into producing the fuel to the wheel actually turning on the vehicle will have the same low carbon footprint as an electric vehicle. And this will be an important part of the transition period that we're going to go through towards ultimately probably all electric vehicles, but that will be quite a way away. We're going to have a greater variety of liquid fuels going into probably a greater variety of internal combustion engines.
I was just thinking, why would Zog be interested in a fuel? You know, why, of all the things in cars, would a fuel be the most interesting thing?
It's interesting chemistry, it's interesting technology.
Oh, yes, but more than that, Zog, it's a synthesizer, isn't it?
Ah, there you go.
Yeah,
synthesis. I like synthesis, that's true.
And finally, in car news, sources say Land Rover has finalised the design of its long-awaited replacement for the legendary Defender. Spies say the new machine will stay true to the authentic style of its beloved predecessor, by which they mean it will have rusty aftermarket wheels, a camo jacket for the driver, and a One Life Live It sticker on the back.
Sniff Petrol with Gareth Jones on speed!
The second part of Gareth Jones on Speed today is recorded on location outside my front door. We're in the dark in North London looking at the car that Richard has just brought round for us to have a look at. It is a Volvo S90. It's the saloon, so they've taken the big XC90 and squashed it down. Same platform, is it, Richard, I think?
Yeah, it's the... What do they call it? Volvo SPA, Scalable
Architecture.
I can't remember what P stands for. And products, maybe. And so we saw the XC90 first on this, and then they announced these, the V and the S90 twins, and it's just locked itself again. This is something I'll show you. I think first impressions count. Now the key is this quite sleek flat lozenge, and on the main surfaces it just has a Volvo badge because the buttons are down the side, which is small and fiddly and annoying.
Oh, really?
And now what this car has is keyless start, but it drives me nuts. A lot of modern cars have this now. It has keyless start, but it doesn't have keyless entry. So you have to get the key out of your pocket, find your fiddly button. Makes that really clunky noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to put the key back in your pocket, or because if you don't, then it's rattling around. There's nowhere to put it inside. You just have to leave it in the cup holder. And it's sort of like just make it all keyless or not keyless at all. I mean, these are minor gripes because then you open the door and actually from then on in, it all feels really, really high quality.
Let's just have a look at it on the outside first. I want to get inside in a moment. But the thing that Volvo make a great fuss about is what they call Mjolnir, which is the name of Thor's hammer, which is this graphic approach they have to the shape of the headline.
Okay, now that you say hammer, I can see that hammer thing going on there.
You can see James Hunt or Jim Kirk's dad taking hold of that and swinging it and stopping the Hulk. Can you? Nice. Something to talk about, isn't it? Something to talk about.
Yeah, it's a stylised, elegant version of the hammer rather than the sort of the more squared off, heavy version.
Yeah,
but smart.
See, it's also the indicator there. It becomes the light. It becomes the daylight running light, daytime running light. But then lock and unlock. You see that's also the indicator.
I didn't see. We should explain that the entire light flashed yellow then, where it was white before. I've never seen that before on a car.
And I quite like the fact that the grille is a little bit concave as well. The front grille. This is unusual. You don't see that on modern cars so much because.
Zog, where have we seen that grille before? That concave grill? Come on, you owned one.
Actually, I don't think there's a P1800.
No, did not P1800 not have that slightly concave grill thing?
I don't think so, no.
No? You had one, didn't you? You owned one.
Yeah.
You'd know.
Yeah, that doesn't particularly remind me.
Now, the rest of the car, again, sturdy, strong, there's some edges to it, and quite long. How long is it? It's longer than an E-Class, isn't it? It must be.
I'm glad you asked me that because I don't know.
I think it is. I think it's a long car.
It does look it. It's a long car. Look, it's got a lot of room in the back.
All right.
If you're interested in
we can't all get in because you've got your baby seat in there, but I could get in the back and you could get in the front. Come on, let's talk about the inside of the car. Theatre lighting, as you get in the car, there's these little outlines of rhombuses, I suppose they are, part in the door sill. I'm in the back, Richard is in the drive seat, and the driving seat. The drive seat, I've invented a new phrase. And my first impressions of the car as I get in is a very substantial screen in between the driver and the front passenger.
the thing you get with this new Volvo box of bits, because this was in the XC90, and I drove an XC90 when they came out, and I thought this screen was very impressive to start with, but it was a bit sluggish and it didn't always work as it should have done. This, they've got a bit more practice in, and I think it's absolutely great now, because you swipe side to side. So you start your home screen, you've got a home button here, like on a phone, and you've got your options, radio, phone, and then sort of trip computer.
Great big icons, very easy to understand.
And everything just works. And the map is pinch to zoom, like on a phone.
Yeah.
So it all feels very sort of, well, that feels like an iPad, basically.
So it's delivering all the things that we're promised from a lot of car manufacturers these days. You know, that sort of simplicity of phone interactivity. Here's something else with the phone thing. You know that key that you produced earlier on, Richard?
Yeah.
Look at the shape of it. It's about similar dimensions to an iPhone. Most keys are about the size of a matchbox.
It's nowhere near an iPhone.
No, in terms of not scale, proportions.
Right.
Yeah. You know, they're trying to do something flat and low and slim
flat. That's true. I think that because a key now is just a chip, isn't it? And, and you need some room for some buttons. And these buttons are tiny. It doesn't have to be huge. One day it'll just be implanted into your hand or something.
Or it'll be biometric. You know.
Can I just draw your attention to something else here, which is quite nice? Is the way that you start the engine. Most cars now, if they're keyless start, it's a button somewhere. This, it's a knob, and you twist it clockwise to start, and you twist it the other way, and there the engine goes off.
Wow,
it's quite neat, isn't it?
Novel.
It's just nice. There's no reason to do that, but then there's no reason not to do that, and it's actually rather nice, and it's metal as well, so it feels quite.
Well, the way it feels in the hand is important.
It does, exactly. Everything. There's a lot in this car. Zog, if you see your interior door handle there to open the door, just feel like, again, metal. It's really solid. It's really. See, these things count because they make it feel like.
I wish you'd seen Zog's eyebrows. And that was lovely. So the tactile side.
It is.
Now you can't leave it alone. Look at you.
I'm really quite.
Yeah, all right, stop it now.
Well, listen, from the point of view of someone in the back.
To this. Sorry, Gareth. I'm just going to show Zog this as well. Again, it's the radio volume knob, and just look, it's metal. It's got a lovely action. Try that.
Nice.
Because it's all on the touch screen here, pretty much. The button count is really pared back, so all you've got on this sort of centre below the main screen is front and rear defrosters, which I think legally you have to have easy access to, your hazards, and then just a skip forward, skip back button either side of this lovely metal knob, which has a big pause button in the middle. Again, sort of feels more like a hi-fi than or some kind of iPad or iPod accessory. They've
done well, haven't they, Volvo, to identify Scandinavianism, or if you like Swedishism, that sort of Bang & Olufsen, that IKEA minimalism, where they've taken something that we do associate with that nation and plastered it on this car. They've applied it to this car.
Go for a little.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put my seatbelt on. Hold on.
Nice. See already. Do you know something this car does, which I think I wish more cars did?
Yeah.
It remembers when you get out whether you left the heated seat on, and it keeps it in that setting.
No,
very
nice.
Scandi, because I'd imagine in the middle of a Swedish winter you don't want it to be continually turning your seats off when you stop and get out. But it's also got a heated steering wheel, and this is the first car I can remember driving that doesn't just have a heated steering wheel. It has degrees of heat from the steering wheel. I came over here with it on 2 out of 3, and it stayed on, and now I just start the engine, my wheel is lovely and warm.
And the engine, this is what? A
2 litre 4, because Volvo's future is now all 4 cylinders, so a bit like Jag, they've gone and bet everything on a new family of 4-cylinder engines, same capacity, related in many ways, petrol and diesel. So Jag has its what they call perineum range, and Volvo has this 2 litre, and then I think they're doing a 1.5. Is it not? I always get confused.
That was an ingenious reinterpretation of what it's actually called.
So yeah, it's a bit. You can probably hear that. It's a little bit noisy on startup, but when it's warm, it's all right. Actually, it's got quite a light, sensitive throttle, which makes it feel faster than it is, because I think it's 170 horsepower. It's all right. It's not a super fast car, but it feels brisk enough, and it's a big old thing, so you're not sort of herring about the place anyway.
I'm enjoying the ambience of the cabin. This one is decked out in a very light beige. Is that beige or is that cream? It's somewhere between cream and beige, the leather.
Something else I think is very lovely and very Volvo, the leather is very soft.
I was about to point that out. If you've given it a squeeze, give it a squeeze. It's softly padded. It's firm leather, but it's softly padded. Like when you're in a Mercedes, you sit on a Mercedes, don't you? They're quite sort of hard and unforgiving generally. BMW, they've got hard leather seats, but you're cosseted in because they go for the sport grippy thing. This is definitely going to appeal to a nice Luxio American, a nice, middle-class American who lives in suburbia. Look at the steering wheel. See that steering wheel in that colour of somewhere between beige and cream, and the way that the switchgear sits on it? I think that looks like an American Nissan steering wheel. Is it the Quantum, or was that an Infiniti in America? Do you know what I mean?
Again, sort of lovely use of gloss black on the wheel for the switches. Like, just everything about it. The design is good, and then the execution, the actual quality of materials is good. It feels like an expensive and very thoughtfully designed car, and it feels nice. The only thing is, you may have noticed we were just coming over some bumps there. The ride is not as good as it should be, which you can say that about a lot of modern cars, but you just feel in this car, it's not a sports car. You'll notice it's an auto. You can only have this as an auto no matter what engine you have, because there's a more powerful diesel. And so the auto box, you can knock the lever over and there's an up and downy thing to do manual changes, but there's no paddles on the wheel. It's not that sort of car. And well done to Volvo for going, it's not that sort of car, we're not going to give you paddles, because let's be honest, you're never going to use them. So what's the point? And it just sort of sets a tone of, it's not a sporty car, it's not trying to be a sporty car, which is why I'd like the ride to be a little bit softer, and then you could just go, it's a comfy, nice, civilised car, and that's fine. Some cars can be like that, because not everything should be herring about like your trousers are on fire.
It shouldn't try to be everything. It should know what it is, and it should do that as well as it can.
I think they've come out fighting. I think they've got a car which is capable of taking on Mercedes, BMW, and certainly Audi, and it offers something different. There's a sort of a minimalism to this, whereas the Teutonic brands are a bit more over-engineered, and people like things to be simple, don't they? It's a simple car. It gives the impression of being one.
Yeah, well, I'll leave you with a thought which someone said to me yesterday. Oh, you've got that S90. Is it better than a BMW 5 Series? And I said, it's not better, but it's nicer. And sometimes nicer is nice.
Yeah.
I think this is a really nice car. I like it because it's not trying too hard to be sporty. It's very comfortable, and it just gives you a sort of warm feeling of well-being, which is very Swedish, isn't it? That's kind of what you want from a Volvo.
How's the Volvo?
It's very nice.
It's nice.
Inspector Holstrom. Yes, Officer Knudsensen. That was the office on the phone. There have been another 5 murders. Oh my God, 12 murders in one day. And there is a madman running crazy in a shopping centre with a knife. Christ, can this day get any worse? Oh, and they said to tell you that your wife has left you. Oh no, not now. And your dog has died. Oh, God damn it, what is happening? What can I do, Inspector Hulstrom? Nothing, Officer Knudsensen, but the murders and the crazy killer and... Okay, calm down. Let's go sit in my Volvo. There, you see? Yes, it's not so bad. No. Everything is just fine. Would you like me to turn on the sauna?
Gareth Jones on speed.
And you're back in the room. I think that was Little Britain, wasn't it?
That-
We
yeah,
picked
it
that
was.
from, yeah. So we're back, having driven around in the new Chinese Scandinavian car. How much China's in that car, Richard?
I guess none.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether they source some bits from over there now, but I know from talking to people at other car companies that they do have some problems with having to keep on top of quality and things like that, because it's all quite new out there in China, isn't it? They don't have the sort of years of car part making that you have in some other countries. But, you know, then again, they make lots of computers and phones and things in China with no problem at all.
Yeah, it's a matter of
world leaders.
It's a
in some
question of
ways.
practice, right?
Yeah.
And they've got a very good manned space program, but that's another conversation. But I know that some of the architecture in that car is going to be used in another Chinese brand, isn't it? Geely, or Geely, jury's still out. Sue Baker says Geely, I say Geely, who own Volvo, have also come up with this new brand that they're going to sell cars worldwide eventually under the name of Lynk and Co. L-Y-N-K, Lynk and Co.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird name. That car they've announced, though, is not on the same box of parts as that Volvo outside.
Is it not?
That's the big box of parts. There's a new small one, which is going to be the V40 and various other Volvos, and that's what the Lynk & Co. What's it called? 01?
I think so, yeah.
SUV thing.
Is built on because it's a bit smaller.
Of course.
That's all the big stuff that goes onto the SPA, whatever it's called. But I, first of all, don't understand Lynk & Co. I mean, that's if you were opening, I think, a shop in Hampstead that sold crusty bread.
Lincoln Co.
Well,
actually,
it sounds like a
bit
fashion brand. It sounds like an attempt to sort of mimic a traditional British fashion brand. Or
It sounds like a Dutch sausage manufacturer to me. Lynk and Co. We also make Lynk sausage. And he's got the Scandinavian accent.
What colour's your hallway? Oh, it's Badger's anus. Yes, I got it from Lynk & Co. in Highgate. It's a bespoke cake manufacturer.
Yeah.
It's a sort of faux oldie worldy name, isn't it? And it just doesn't wash when you go, well, you're a brand new Chinese car company from the people who own Volvo. It's just like this. It's completely inauthentic.
But the question is, who is it aimed at? It's not working for us. It's not ticking our boxes. But maybe for the target markets that it is aimed at, that name does have the right kind of resonance. I don't know. Maybe they have just pulled the name out of a hat. Maybe it was something that just sounded good after a couple of drinks. But
they might as well have called it Lincoln Sons.
Well,
of London. It just feels so
they're
fun,
alluding to something.
Yeah, but maybe...
no, you're right, absolutely. Maybe that's the thing. It sounds
maybe.
good to people in other countries who aren't aware of crusty bread shops in Hampstead.
There you go.
The Chinese space program, they don't do that. They haven't invented bonkers names, bonkers English names, if you like, for their vehicles.
It's Long March 1, Long March 2, Long March 3, Long March 4.
I mean, that's Chinese heritage, the Long March, which Mao said they all went on, and now it's their rockets, that Long March into space, and their manned capsule, their manned launcher is called Shenzhou, it's actually pronounced, not Shenzhou, but Shenzhou, which, I don't know what that means. No, I do know, it means heavenly vessel. And then there's Changyong, which is the space station.
Chang'an is the space station.
Yeah, which means, no, blessed vessel and heavenly place. That's what it means.
Okay.
So, it's taken me a while to learn those. This is why we haven't got Chinese cars called things like Heavenly Strider or Qingfao. We should just give them character names, Chinese character names, and learn them. It's never going to happen, is it? Which is why you end up with something clumsy and awkward like Lynk & Co.
Well, on that note as well, the actual car is quite interesting. But if you look at it particularly in profile, it looks like 3 or 4 different cars photoshopped together. And in particular, there's a very odd little step between the base of the A-pillar and the sort of the top of the window line. And it honestly, in profile, does look like they've taken the front off a Kia Sportage and very badly photoshopped it onto the body of a sort of unspecified Audi or some kind of Chinese market Citroen. It's very odd. And there's some bits of it are quite nice, and I like the sort of scallop up the side and things. But overall, it's a little bit of a...
It's a bit
I mean,
familiar.
it's funny, my feeling when I looked at it was that it just had quite a generic look for that sort of class of car, sort of mid-sized SUV. But then again, it's a kind of vehicle that I'm not terribly interested in. So, they do kind of all look alike to me anyway.
Well, if you were to take the badges off an F-Pace and take the badges off, I don't know, the Macan. The Macan's not a good example, but there is a form. Those cars all follow a certain form, and it's very hard to make them distinctive. You have to rely on character traits like Jaguar do, their heritage grille, that new frameless grille as they call it now, or in the case of Porsche, that horizontal low scoopy front end that you get from Porsches from the 956, the 911, that's on the Macan. These are design clues which reinforce a brand. So when you've got a brand like Lynk & Co., it simply doesn't have anything at all to call its own that it can call on. Everything about it will appear familiar. and it's going to take a long time for them to
kind of establish
their own language.
Yeah, sure,
Those poor
that's true.
people. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the big noise is on the inside because it's supposed to be like the most connected car ever. Or they're supposed to be the most connected car brand ever or something. I don't know. I remember reading this in the bump. But it has that touchscreen I was just showing you in that S90 outside. It's got the portrait aspect screen, which everyone's got now. You know, Tesla sort of started it, but then Volvo got in on the act. And it's in various Renaults that we don't get because it's in that Talisman and in the new Espace. And it looks very nice in there. And everyone's going to have that. But there's some kind
way of doing it.
quite big touch screen seemingly in the Lynk & Co. florist's car, and it's got various things including a big share button, so you can share where you are, which I don't know. I mean, I'm 41. I have no idea where you want that.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to know where I am.
If you're 23, you'll think that's brilliant. If you're 23, you obviously can't afford a sort of medium-sized SUV. But that's by the by. Maybe you'll dream of it.
Unless
maybe
you're
you'll persuade your parents to get one when you're 8.
a rich Chinese youngster. You know, maybe that's the market.
I'd be very, very concerned about a Chinese car being connected. Is it to the Chinese government? They'll never allow that in America, will they? The American space program are not allowed to do partnerships with the Chinese. They're simply not, because the crossover of technologies,
very strict on that.
they don't allow it. They're never going to sell that car connected, a Chinese car, in America, are they? It's just not going to happen. They won't allow it. With that terrifying thought, you've been listening to Zog.
Goodbye.
To Richard.
Goodbye.
And to me, Gareth. This was Gareth Jones on Speed. We're going to leave you with another tune from 10 years on Speed. See ya. This is a song about Scotland, Wales and rallying. And because it's a Scottish song, it's in the style of the Proclaimers. Or in this case, the Reclaimers. We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do.
We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do.
We do. We do. We do. There was a time when forests rang with a happy sound, but today you'll hear a twinkling on the ground. It's time again for cars to jump in their attack. It's our refrain because we want the rally back. We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
We do. Come on, Wales, our cousins in the lively song. It's a turn, you've had the rally for too long. We're just like you, we're full of passion, filled with pride. And just like you, we'll keep a welcome in the hillside. We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
We want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
Come on now, it feels like ages since we've had a WRC stages. Let's bring it back. We love rally awards, and that's not because the last two British champs were Scots. No, look at Richard Burns was not a Scot. For heaven's sake, he had it in the game he was. And I know we got IRC, but it's not to batch on the WRC. So we want the rally back.
I already own a bobble hat.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
We want the rally back.
And a really nice rucksack.
We want the rally back.
We do. We do. We do.
Mikko Harvanen,
Matti Rattanen,
Tommy Mäkinen,
Ali Vatanen,
Juha Hannanen,
Henry Toivonen,
Juha Käkkönen,
Harry Toivonen,
Simo Lappinen,
Pauli Toivonen.
Matti Räntinen,
I can't read that.
Timo Salonen,
Timo Mäkinen,
Kimi Räikkönen,
Harry Rover.
we want the rally back.
I rucksack.
We want the rally back.
We do, we do, we do.
We want the rally back.
I don't mind being cold as fuck.
We want the rally back.
We do, we do, we do.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!